The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 163.
163.
What is the topic of discussion?
This is, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Good, and so true.
Oh, very, yes.
Awesome.
Very, very.
Well, before we hop into it, anything you want to share from last week?
Yes, last week we did Finding Calm in Chaos. And during that episode, I did a reading for Sherry and her friend Christy, who passed away. Mm-hmm. And she sent a response to the reading. So let's hear what she has to say.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing a reading for me on the show. Christy would have been 53 on June 10th. She loved Disney and Disney cruises. I had mentioned, I was seeing Disney things. I'm surprised she didn't mention hockey since you both have that in common too. She passed after a 2-year battle with lung cancer. You said that she went quick, maybe meaning once she decided to go, she went quickly. You were spot on about everything else. She was my best friend since 1989, and we always had a great time. Never a fight or disagreement. I'm glad that she's experiencing joy and is no longer in pain. Thank you so much for that beautiful reading. I listened to it twice, and I'm tearing up as I write this. Love to you.
Very cool.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry.
You know, when I don't have the person here to do the reading for, I just keep going when I hear things like, you know, it was quick or whatever it was that I heard from Christy. But there's a lot of things that it could mean, you know? Yeah. So, and I'm not always 100% accurate. I don't think any psychic ever is. So right. We might hear something and misinterpret something wrong or whatever. But hey, the rest of the reading resonated. So
yeah, I mean, you don't know
in
the 2 years, was it from diagnosis to passing, or was, you know, like, because I don't know medically, is that quick for lung cancer or not? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, maybe she was just sick and then towards the end, you know, didn't look like she was going to pass, but maybe did quickly. That she could have meant something like that. I don't know.
Got it.
But either way, glad that it resonated for you, Sherry.
Thank you.
And thank you, Christy, as well.
To you both.
Yes. Okay. So then we answer 2 questions every week. Mm-hmm. The first question is from Serena. She says, I understand that we have soul contracts and also free will. Is our life mapped out in our soul contract? If we have free will, does that alter our pre-planned course? Or were our free will choices already planned too? In other words, did the universe already know the poor decisions we'd be making here on Earth? I hope this makes sense.
It does. It's like, how did I say this? Like compartmentalized in the sense of you've got you, your divine self, and then you, your self, you know,
human self,
you know, your self-will.
Oh,
free will. Excuse
mm-hmm.
me. So there's kind of 2 parts of you. I feel like, yes, your contract is made with yourself and the others involved on the other side in the presence of divine. Mm-hmm. And then you come here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say like the free will is like evil part of you. It's not. But it's, to me, when I think about it, it's the part where I'm not taking in account for the divine part of myself.
Right.
I'm just going after what I want.
Right.
Kind of thing, in a way.
Right.
So I guess in essence what I'm saying is that free will can then get in the way of the contract that I had made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I came here. Mm-hmm. Does the divine know that you're going to make these mistakes? Absolutely. And I think that part of you knows you will too. But that's the lesson. That is the whole challenge of coming here is can you come here and remember and have faith in where you came from?
Right. So this is something that I have given a lot of thought to over the years after the spiritual awakening. And the way that I guess I would best describe this is kind of like, remember those choose your own adventure books? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there is a destiny that's predetermined for you, I believe. Okay. Like I believe I was supposed to be a medium. Okay. Whether I was supposed to be a medium earlier or not, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure if my free will to not pursue this meant that it happened later in life when I was ready to pursue it, or if that's the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like because this was thrown at me in my early 20s, I started like opening this kind of stuff up, right? So let's say in this choose your own adventure, I could have gone this way, right? Or I could have gone the way that I did, which was to not open it up. I don't really know which way was the right way to go. I'm not sure. Maybe the universe said, no, it's not time for her in her 20s, and she has to put it off. I feel like when something happens, like let's take my divorce, for example. I feel like I was supposed to divorce my first husband a lot earlier than I did. But because I didn't feel like that was right, I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And because I wasn't making the decision for myself, the universe literally made the decision for me, like pushed me out of that. And so I feel like I should have made that decision earlier, and then the universe wouldn't have had to push me out. But I feel like whatever our destiny is, the universe will eventually get involved and put us back on the right track. Now, if we finish this journey completing all of the things we were supposed to complete, that has a lot to do with the free will. Did we waste time on the free will? Like how long did I waste, going through that divorce process when it could have been a lot faster is what I mean. So we won't know these things till we get to the other side. But I don't believe that everything is decided for us. I know some people don't believe in free will altogether, and I definitely believe that we can steer this ship however we want to, but the universe will put us back on some kind of track if it needs to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I hope that explains that. I could go on about that subject for a long time.
Right.
I think it's fascinating, and we don't know. And like, even for me, I don't know. I just know what they tell me, but I really don't know whether, what things I've done in my life are free will and what were destiny.
It's interesting because in Dolores's, one of her volumes of the Convoluted Universe, I think I don't remember which one I was up to, 4 or 5, but they talk about the Earth and its uniqueness in this whole big picture, and they say that this, according to the spirits that she's contacted and talked with through the hypnotherapy, they say that Earth is the only planet in the universe that has free will.
That's very interesting.
And it makes it particularly challenging, I think, being a place to come to learn lessons.
Right.
It makes it challenging. It's like almost like when we come here, we forget our connection. We're unaware of our connection.
Yeah.
We have to search and find it. Where other beings on other worlds are born automatically or taught automatically that you are connected.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of their work just for the greater good of the other side of the source, the divine. So it's interesting to think of a place where you go that you don't remember.
Right.
And now you're challenged with this knowledge of another side or divine, but you're also given this will to do as you please.
Yeah.
And this can be taken in so many different contexts and directions. Like even for me, working in a job for 13 years, really trying to push and push and push and work hard. All I did was end up wrecking my body. And it got me nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was forced out to do what I really was meant to do.
Exactly.
And the forced out part felt chaotic.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't exactly figure out until hindsight what actually was happened.
Yeah. Hindsight is a gift for sure. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Serena.
Thanks, Serena.
Yeah, I love that question. The next one is from Shauna. She said, how do you handle visions that you have had playing out? And that what happens next. So when a vision plays out, knowing what happens next, how do you cope? Because I'm going to be 1,000% honest, but I get scared sometimes. I try not to be, but I'm human and I get scared. Okay, first, feel those feelings. It's okay to be scared. You know, I think that everything that they show us and tell us has a reason. So if you're being shown something, you know, what's the reason? Okay, I saw visions. Actually, I think that you did too, about January 6th, about I thought it was the White House. I didn't know it was the Capitol, but I didn't know the context. I didn't know what any of this was about, you know. But I couldn't let it worry me. That's the thing, is that I have to look at it as, why did they tell me that? Well, there could be a few reasons, but one of them could be to help you learn about your abilities. They may have shown Danny those things so that he can start to learn the difference between an actual vision and a daydream. So that's one reason that they may show you those things. They may also just show you so that you have knowledge that this is coming for whatever reason. You know, I've had visions of friends, you know, being in a car accident or having a miscarriage or whatever. Why did they tell me those things? I don't know. I really don't. But there's a reason for all of them, but they're not meant to scare us. They don't want to scare us. I really think they just want to prepare us. It really depends on the situation too, on the vision itself. Like, it might be, you know, just something that might be coming on later in your day so that you know how to handle it differently. What Shauna here was talking about actually is what's going on right now with the Roe versus Wade.
Oh, okay.
And that she's having visions of what's going to happen, which is why I brought up January 6th, because I did see that. This I didn't really see coming. Nobody told me, but I also didn't ask. So, you know, but with all of this that's happening, the way that I kind of explained to her that if I had a vision of this, that I would deal with it is just to know that, first of all, there's nothing I can do. I explained that there are frontline fighters in these situations, and we're the light workers. We're not the frontline fighters. We're the ones that are supposed to try and bring the peace after the storm. So don't get involved in the frontline work if you're a light worker. Let those people do their job, because we all have a different job here. But really try not to let these things frighten you, because this is how we learn in this world. And these things happen. And why they happen, I don't know. We won't know until we get there. Yeah. But I think that like this and the pandemic and all that, it's to teach us. It's to help us grow. It's a lot of different things. We're supposed to work better together. And these things just show us that we are ripped apart as a nation, you know. It's sad.
I definitely think that there's definitely something to learn as a nation, even globally, you know?
Yeah. And you know what, Sean, I have to be honest, too, is that, like, if I have visions, especially about my own life, I usually will shrug them off until afterwards. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw that coming. So that's maybe one way that I deal. Yeah. Sometimes if my mom tells me something and I don't want to know it, I will ask her to literally erase it from my memory, and it will be erased. And that's one of the really cool things about, like, I don't know how this works, but it does. It goes away. And then the next day I'll be like, I told her to get rid of a memory. What was it? And it's totally gone. So, so anyways, I want to be honest. When I have those visions, I'm not always like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. I sometimes think I'm exaggerating. I'm looking at it wrong, or it's a daydream. And it's not till retrospect that I go, oh, okay, that's what this meant. And that's why they showed me. So it's all a learning lesson and learning curve to all of this, really.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I hope that answers your question, Shauna.
Thanks, Shauna.
Yes, thank you. All right, and then before we go into the episode, I do a reading every week. Let me get that for you. Okay, this is for Crystal. She says, this is Dexter. Dexter is a doggy. He's very cute. Like a German Shepherd type dog. Cool. Our very best boy. He passed last September and took part of us all with him. Does he plan to come back to us or have anything to say? And this is Dexter.
Pretty.
Yes, he's beautiful. Beautiful dog. Okay, let's talk to him. He had a very unique role in your home where he was the protector, but he also, like, when I have dogs with this kind of personality that comes up, I always see Peter Pan and the dog in Peter Pan, Nana, and how Nana took care of the kids. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about Dexter here, is that he was a protector, but he was almost a babysitter, almost like Like he did all these roles, all these different roles, and he loved it. He loved to look out for his family and to make sure that they were protected and had what they needed. And I see him like walking up to each member of the family, and he like stops and looks at the person almost like, do you need anything? Are you good? It's very interesting. And I don't know if you guys realize that that's what he was doing, but he was literally going to you and asking you, is there anything I can do for you? Like, he's just the sweetest thing. He would have been a very good working dog, like a police dog or some kind of dog like that, because he was one that liked to have something to do, always wanted to have, and it wasn't about physically having something to do. It was just about the mental focus of, what's going on around him, keeping an eye out, always being alert to everything. So there's a little bit about his personality for you. Let's see. Do you want to come back, Dexter? He wants to come back, yes, but not yet. Not quite yet, he says. There's another soul that needs to come back first. And this is interesting when this happens because, we have a lot of us have a lot of pets that go. And for whatever reason, not that we forget about them, but, like my dog Tahoe, right? Like Sequoia died after him. So I might just not think so much about Tahoe reincarnating, but more about Sequoia reincarnating because she's more recent. We forget a lot of times about those dogs that we had, or cats, whatever, previously. Right. So I feel like there's another soul that needs to come back to you first before Dexter will. This is a smaller dog, I believe, that either you or your spouse or significant other had growing up, because I see a child playing with this small dog. But he will come back, but it'll be a few years. And let's see, does he have anything to say? He wants to thank you for always taking the best care of him. I think we all get to that point where we have a little bit of guilt and think, oh, I could have done better. There are certain things I could have done. But he's saying that to please let go of any of those guilt things that you still hold on to, because he had a wonderful life with you. He wouldn't have asked for anything more than what you gave him. It was perfect. So don't beat yourself up about those coulda, woulda, shouldas, or, right. Oh, I have one where like I didn't let my dog out quick enough and she was kind of miserable. And then I beat myself up forever about it. It's one day. She doesn't even remember, Yeah. So we have to, be gentle on ourselves. And that's what he's saying, is not to get yourself down for those things, because he doesn't hold on to those. He has 100% unconditional love for you and the rest of your family, and he sends his love and says he's still very much around you, so keep an eye out for clumps of hair. He's showing me that, which is interesting because it's very, like, when did he die? September? September. And he used, okay, if he says hair clumps, then there might be some, the hair of his dust bunnies around still.
When you showed me the picture, at first, all I heard was yellow.
Yellow?
Ball.
Oh.
But I thought maybe I added ball at the end myself. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just heard yellow and I was kind of...
Did you see that in the picture?
I did not.
Okay, there's a yellow bat and there's a tennis ball in the picture.
I didn't see that.
Okay, so that's...
Zoom back out, because I didn't...
So that may be what you're talking about there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. I just looked at him.
But if, Crystal, that resonates, let us know, because you may have been seeing a toy that he likes to play with, for sure. Something. So thank you, Dexter and Crystal, for that.
Guys. The funny thing about I don't know why I grabbed onto it and that whole thing, that whole reading, was that he said another soul needs to come back first. Mm-hmm. And it was just like proof to me, kind of goes back to that other question about, is it all pre-mapped out? Mm-hmm. Who was the questions was that earlier?
That was Serena's?
Serena's, yes. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was Sean or Serena.
Yeah, no, it was Serena.
But yeah, it kind of goes back to that for me, that even that they're privy to that knowledge, while he's communicating with you about what's going to happen and him coming back. It's like, they know. How do they know what needs to come next?
Right.
It's like,
they know.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm. It just sort of blows my mind.
That's what makes it magic.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, well, if there isn't a greater plan, then how do they all know what needs to come next?
Right?
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
Okay, so then one more thing before we go into the episode.
Yep.
Let's give our info.
Yay.
You can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can find our show on social media at SpiritualJoneses, or email us spiritualjoneses@gmail.com.
Yes.
And you?
For my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Very good.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
On
Well
to the
then, episode 163. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Change is uncomfortable.
It is.
And I think we fear it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really realize this when I was younger so much, but I get it now that it's like we always want everything to go smoothly, you know? And when things don't go smoothly or change occurs, we have a tendency to flail ourselves.
and in regards to its connection to last week's episode, a lot of times change can just feel chaotic.
Absolutely it can, yeah.
But
yeah.
if everything is always smooth and grandiose, that means you're doing everything perfect all the time and there's nothing left to be learned.
Yes.
I don't really typically learn a lot when things are always glorious.
Right.
I mean, I learn that I love to feel that way.
Right.
But what else am I learning?
Absolutely. Life is full of struggle and challenges. It's supposed to be. We're not put here for everything to be hunky-dory all the time. That's what heaven is. Heaven is the beautiful place where we don't have to experience this stuff. This is the classroom. So while we're here, we have to deal with that uncomfortableness and that change because we can't stay in the same place all the time. That's not what life is about.
Nope.
Life is about the changes and the learning and all of that. And sometimes it seems like, you know, it's never going to end and that everything is against you. And we've been experiencing this a lot lately, and we've been open with you guys about it, that, you know, it kind of feels like some days it's just everything, just one thing after the other after the other. And I keep asking myself, why? Why is it, even when I wake up in the morning and I think today's going to be a good day and everything, why is it still such a challenge? Well, one of the things that, and I've said this to you, is that I feel like when we have these topics, we have to experience things a little bit so that we can talk about it. Right. Because if everything right now was like totally smooth and there hadn't been any bumps, we probably would be like, oh, it's great. You know, you're totally in a different frame of mind. But if you can talk about this from the point of view instead of being like, this is how it should be, it's just, I
mean, I could sort of pull from all my previous experiences in life throughout all these topics that we talk about. But again, I only have so many experiences where this creates new experiences. Right. Sort of like what you're saying. It's like these things have come up recently for us to now re-relate or relate on a different level, or just to remember, oh yeah, it is challenging.
I had an epiphany just now. So I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm going to because I just had the epiphany.
Do it.
So my birthday was a few days ago, and it wasn't the greatest birthday I've ever had. It wasn't the worst birthday I've ever had, but it wasn't the greatest birthday I've ever had. Like literally everything kept going wrong. It was just one thing after the other, right? And I kept saying to you, you know, it's okay. It's one birthday. You know, I've had 44 others. I'll have many more. It's okay. It's just one birthday. And I was trying to find the lesson in this because I was told the day before, I heard my mom say, it's not going to be the best birthday. And I wasn't sure why she said that. You know, I was a little bit confused. Why would you want to warn me about that? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, thanks a lot. But I understand it now because you know what? Years ago, I would have been like, this is a horrible birthday and I hate it and birthday, you know, I didn't do that. I just said, it's okay. It's just today. Right. And next year is a different year. And I think that that's what they want us to do, that when we're faced with these types of challenges, we're not supposed to look at it as, you know, oh, everything is bad or it's ruined. My birthday was not ruined. I still had a good day. It was just that it was a little bit chaotic, you know, and there was a lot that happened. But we're supposed to experience these things. And every birthday is not supposed to be sunny. And every Christmas isn't supposed to be perfect because we have to experience a wide variety of things. Yeah. If everything is always perfect, it's not real.
We were even talking like earlier too, like How many of your birthdays do you really remember?
Yes.
I don't really. There's like pinnacle ones, like say, whatever, when you hit your teens, maybe.
Yeah.
There's something there's recollection of that, and then maybe like 18 and 21. And
Yeah.
But then after that, it's like, okay, so yeah, 30, and maybe like 40. I remember that a little bit. And then 50, and it's like, but everything else in between, I don't remember every single birthday.
No, I remember bits and pieces of a few, you know, not even half.
No.
After going through them, not even half. And I think that's another lesson here is that I most likely won't remember this birthday in 10 years. I'll be like, oh, my 45th birthday, what did we do? Oh, yeah, well, maybe we went out to dinner. There's not going to be anything that is going to really stand out from it. It was just the way that it was supposed to be. And if we look at every day like that, look at every day like today, it could be good, it could be bad, but it's just today. And tomorrow is a new one. And, today is what, the 25th of June. Next year, there's also going to be a 25th of June. So they don't want us to dwell on these things and all that because that is life. Life is struggle and difficult, and it's supposed to be because and you had said it, and I wrote it down here. Even though we are conditioned to only want good things to happen, a big part of feeling fully alive is experiencing both the amazing things and the challenging things.
Yep.
You have to experience the challenging things.
It's
as hard as it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's experience.
So there's two types of change. We face both internal and external change. So, and they're very different, which is why I'm mentioning this. External is like moving to a new city, a new job, a loss of a loved one. Internal deals with our thoughts and feelings and the emotional response triggered by the external change. So you may have change that came into your life, like when my mom died, I had that change that came in, but that also, that's the external, but it also changed me inside. It also did a lot of things to me inside. So you're dealing with both types of change in that situation, but that's not always how it goes.
But that's a lot of change at once.
It is a lot of change. Yeah. Some people face the most unthinkable tragedies, yet somehow come out the other side stronger. Others crumble under the weight of the pressure and the heartache that they face.
Right.
But there's nothing different between the way that between those people, except the way that they look at things. You can choose to let something bring you down and crumble you, or you can, go, okay, well, this is how life is, and I'm gonna, try and make the best of it.
I was even thinking in terms of geological change. For some reason, my mind popped in the Earth, and I thought, I can't remember what period they call this, but when it was one continent, okay? And think about all the conflict we have amongst ourselves on this planet as the continents exist now. Mm-hmm. What if they never changed?
Oh, God. That would not be good.
And we were all fighting over one giant piece of land.
Yeah. You make a very great point. And it was all connected. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You make a very good point. Yep. Something else to think about here is that if you read about the lives of successful people, they are full of obstacles and challenges. You have the decision. We all have the decision of when we're faced with an obstacle of what way we're going to go. And in one of the articles that I read about this, they use the words winners and losers. And I don't like those words, but I'm going to read it as they wrote it.
Okay.
Maybe there's a better word. It says, what divides the winners and the losers is mindset. A loser sees the world as unfair, whines and complains, but doesn't take steps to improve their life.
Yep.
A winner may still see the world as unfair, but that doesn't stop them from carrying on so that they can improve their life.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. And that's hard to do. It really is. And it's not saying that you can't, if you are facing something, that you can't sit there and whine for a little while. There's nothing wrong with, taking a day and crying about it or whining about it. It's when you sit there. It's when you are stagnant and you let that, whatever is going on, control your life,
And often that stagnation can be the fear of change.
Yeah.
That a lot of us fear this, extremely.
Yes.
And thinking that it brings so much bad.
Yes.
I can say that the most foundation rocking experiences of change in my life have all resulted in something positive.
Yes.
Never anything worse than what was happening.
Yes, and that's what it's supposed to do. That's what it's supposed to do, but we don't see that when we're in the midst of it. You know, even like my mom dying. Like, I really sat in that for so long, like a good 3 years that I was just not even, like, I don't know, human, really. It was horrible.
Right.
And I look back now and I'm like, well, you know, grief is grief, but there's not really much I can do to go back and get those years of my life back. But I wish I could. I wish that I could have had a different perception of it. Because now I see that my mom's passing was necessary, and it was one of the best things that happened to me, even though it was also one of the worst things that happened to me.
Right.
But, you know, how do you see that when it's happening? You have to trust. And that's where the challenges comes in too, right. Is the faith and the trust that this change is going to be a good change for you. Because we always take that risk, you know. Divorce is a risk. Quitting a job, that's a risk. Because you don't know necessarily what comes next. You're taking that step to say, this isn't for me anymore.
Right.
This is not where I want to be. I want to change my life. And I have to be uncomfortable to do that for a little while. But the discomfort, it goes away. And you know what? Not only does it go away, but the memories of it fade. Like, I do have the very strong memories of the day that my mom died. And they still hurt, and I can still cry over it. But it's nothing like it was then.
Right.
It starts to fade. Something that I've learned, too, that I'll pass on, it doesn't have much to do with this episode, but when you replay a memory in your mind, like me replaying that moment that I found out about how my mom died and everything. Right. You replay it. You're making it stick in there. Yeah. You're choosing to put that memory there, because when we remember something, I read this, we are remembering the last time we remembered it, not when it actually happened. Right. So one of the ways that we can really help to heal ourselves with these kinds of the challenges and the change is don't think about those things from the past, those bad memories that have happened. Just don't. When you start to feel them coming on, change it. Right. Because you know what'll happen? Those memories, they will fade. And you might even completely forget them. And that's a great feeling, to not be stuck in the past and stuck in those feelings, because that's a part of moving forward. And the change is letting all of that go.
Exactly. I mean, these are our experiences. And even though we're married, we're not having the same experience.
No, not at all.
So I can't say that this applies to every single life that will be or ever was, you know. But I do believe that a lot of what you're saying is that I can choose to look at it that way. The winner-loser kind of thing. Yeah. And it's all my perception based on my own personal experience.
Right. Right.
So it can't necessarily apply to Sally or Bobby or Jim or, you know, whatever, Mary. You know, I start thinking about, let's say, kids that are like horribly abused or maybe even killed by somebody, their parent or somebody. And I think, how do you share this or get somebody in that type of situation to believe that or see that? And that's a tough one.
Yeah.
The only way I can really ultimately answer it is even if they didn't get a chance to learn it in this life, they're going to learn it when they go.
Right.
And the same goes for me. My challenge to myself is to learn it in this life.
Right.
As much as I can. Not be afraid to say, I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
Those kinds of things. Be nice to people, because that is it.
Yeah.
Kindness is the key to this whole experience being really as good as it possibly can be. But then again, if everybody was walking around completely kind to each other, then what are we missing as far as lessons? Right. That's why I don't think we've ever seen that on this planet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there is a reason for conflict.
There is a lot.
And I don't want to condone it, but I do believe it does bring a lot of knowledge and to us.
Right.
You know, it helps us learn.
Yes, that's a great. Let's have a little story. Well, it's not a story, but let's put something together here, okay? This is what I'm thinking of. So let's just say that you're out and you're in a good mood and everything's going great for you, and somebody walks up to you and they're really, really rude to you, okay? How do you handle that? For me, I go to what is the best possible way to handle that. Maybe not how internally I would handle it. What's the best way? What is going to be the kindest way to handle this? And you know what? Not fighting back or not having bitter words or whatever, but being, if that person is just having a bad day, I'm sorry you're having a bad day.
Right.
Trying to diffuse things instead of adding to them, because we are going to come across situations in our lives where we're going to be uncomfortable like this with people, and how you deal with these people has a lot to do with,
Right.
Where your perception is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to take the conflict that I see in the world and give that myself license to then act the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
On a daily basis. I just don't want to do that. I want to try to figure a way to do it different. And like one example is part of the reason the birthday thing wasn't so great is that I had ordered something for you May 25th. Through a pretty reputable company. It was a picture I was having framed. And I dropped it off May 25th. I was told I could pick it up June 6th or 7th. I called a couple times to confirm that, left a message, no return call. Finally get through to him, and the date keeps getting pushed back and back and back. Till finally I'm picking it up on her birthday, June 21st.
Yeah.
And
Not ready.
Not ready.
Yeah.
And I get there, and they don't have part of what I've ordered, and the matting isn't to how we laid it out. And I was sent a picture before I even went there, so I had a moment to think about all of it. And
this was a huge challenge for you, yeah.
And I thought, I could get myself I was upset. I wasn't, angry. I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
Really disappointed and frustrated with the situation. And I thought, I could go in there, which I've done in my life in the past, quote unquote, as a terminology, guns blazing, but I wouldn't have a gun. I would be using my mouth.
Yeah.
And I would be firing daggers at people.
Yeah.
Making very rude comments about them personally, just to make it right in my own mind. And I didn't do that.
No, you didn't.
I simply went in there and asked for my picture back, said I would take my business somewhere else, and just expressed my disappointment. And the amazing part is it was two guys that own this company, and one of them says, we've really heard what you had to say and taken a lot of consideration into what you're saying, and they agreed with quite a bit of what I said. If I would have went in there guns blazing, not only does that do nothing for me, but get my blood pressure up and get me mad, and then I walk out feeling I would never back then admit that I felt bad, but I would walk out going, I probably shouldn't have done, shouldn't have been so harsh. So this time I don't have to walk out feeling bad.
Right.
And maybe I was put there to help these gentlemen learn how to run their company a little better.
Very good point.
So, because I handled it in a way where they acknowledged what I had to say. And if they really care about their business, they'll pay attention to that.
Yeah.
That's their choice.
Yeah.
I left it there.
Yes. And that is a perfect example of this episode, because it challenged you to do that, but it showed you that you've changed. It showed you that this is all worth it.
Right.
As hard as it was, because I know you and I saw a couple times he wants to blow.
I did. And, and it sucked coming home to my wife's birthday. And this was something I had planned to do. And I wanted to make it really nice. And it was. And it was nice when I looked at it laid out. But I had to come home on her birthday and say, I don't have your birthday gift,
Yeah.
I'll be back in an hour. We're gonna go find
I gotta
something
go find
else.
something else for you. You know what?
It's nothing
It's
like
okay.
planning a month ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or so. But it was a challenge for me to change. And I feel like I'm gonna say this, but I feel like in general, in today's world, in business kind of world, a lot gets overlooked.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. Don't
A
get me
lot of
started.
times you don't really get the service and the stuff that you're paying for.
Nope.
They want your credit card number and they'll run that real quick.
Yep.
But when it actually comes to delivering what it is supposed to be delivered, I feel like some of our quest to do good work and please the customer
Yeah.
has fallen to the wayside a little bit.
Kind of
But
really lazy. Yeah.
but that's my own personal opinion about it.
And that's what we've been experiencing. Other people might be like, oh, I haven't noticed that. But
Right.
yeah, for us, it's true. I feel like all of these service businesses, like we had all
Everybody's
the
passing the buck.
construction done. Yeah, absolutely. It's like we had pavers that had to be replaced in our driveway. And the guy kept saying, I'm going to come look at it today. And then like a half hour later, oh, I can't look at it today. I'll come tomorrow. And then not messaging and like,
Right.
the other day I'm trying to get my receipt from him and he's like, oh, I'll bring it by today. And then seriously, a few hours later, oh, I can't bring it by today. And it's like, dude, seriously, like this is bad business.
Very
but I'm
bad
still
business.
nice,
Very bad business. The irony is the guy got the work done.
Yeah.
It took him like 7 days to get here, but the work was done in one day.
Yeah, it was.
And the funny part about it is that you had called like 5 companies and left messages.
Yep.
And nobody returned these calls.
Nobody.
And then all of a sudden we're driving after dinner one night, and in this front yard of somebody's house, it may have been the owner's house.
It might have been, yeah.
I don't know if he lives out here or not, but there's like one of those
Yard
stick in the
signs.
ground signs.
Yeah.
And it was pavers, a paver sign.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, there's one right there. Like almost like they just put it right because we were
They did.
discussing it.
Yeah.
We had been discussing it that night. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, what are we going to do? Nobody's calling back. We can't park in our driveway. There's a giant hole. There's a giant hole in our courtyard.
Yeah.
If anybody were to walk in there in the dark and didn't know, they could
Yeah.
fall. And so I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And boom, there's the sign.
Yeah.
But then when the guy took so long to get here and look at it, I'm thinking, no. But now I
It was
see
such a frustrating experience, yeah.
that's exactly why the sign was there in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
We called the number. Yeah, it took him some time to get here, but he got here
Yeah.
and the job was done.
He got it done, and we were patient about it, and we weren't rude to him. I wasn't rude to him in any way.
No.
He was very frustrating to me, but I didn't lead on to that to him, and I didn't let it bother me so much because I was just like, it's gonna get done, whether it's him or somebody else. I can't let it, bother me like that. And 10 years ago, yeah, I would have been really upset, and I probably would have voiced, my upsetness too. And I probably wouldn't have had him come out to do that work because of the flakiness.
Right.
But at the same time, I really did feel like this is a test, just like everything else. And
We
they
kind of
wouldn't.
felt desperate too because we'd
Yeah.
already called 5 places and nobody's calling
Right.
back. So you're like, well, at least you get one call.
Well, and the fact that that sign was there, like, why would we see that sign? Because one part of the story that you may not remember is that we were driving up this main road and you said, turn right here. I want to see my old elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
If we wouldn't have turned right there, we wouldn't have seen that sign.
You're right.
So I truly, when I see these things, I believe them and I know that there's a reason for them. And so that's why I didn't say to this guy, you know what, you can stick your paver business where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
Even though I really wanted to after a few days, it's about patience, and it sometimes it takes these changes and learning about yourself and like, do I want to be this way? Or what way do I want to be? What way do I want to present myself to people, that I'm an angry, uptight person, or that I'm understanding and happy? And I am a generally understanding and happy person. And so that's what I want to put out to people,
I think there's I heard something too just now, maybe it's Michael, because you're currently and have been taking acting classes.
Yes.
And we have discussions about this, and I'll share with you kind of my friend Michael that passed away was a very well-renowned actor for many years. And so I would talk to him about it, and he would I was like, can you kind of just give me the essence of it? You know, one night we were having a conversation and he said, you know, all acting is reacting. And I thought, that's just now I heard the same thing. It's like, it's the same thing in life, which again goes back to, you guys are all living in a friggin' movie.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
It's your movie.
Yep.
And if we could learn to react to one another differently, you know, without defensiveness and aggression and hate and screaming and yelling and names and foul language, you know, there would be a difference in the way that people communicate. So it really is all reaction.
Yes.
And how am I going to react to this change?
You're right.
This person, whatever they're saying to me. It does. Honestly, it feels like, you know, there's moments where I know that a split second before that happens, I know, lesson.
Yeah, yeah,
I hear it. Lesson.
I do too. Damn it.
And I have a split second to decide how I'm going to react to whatever's happening. But I always hear more so than I ever did, and that's because I've opened up and I've accepted this into my life, is I want to be a light worker. I don't want to be somebody that, you know, you walk into a room and people want to go the other way.
Right.
Or afraid to talk to you.
Right.
You know? So I'm just considering that. Like, it's all like a metaphorically clicking in my head.
Yeah.
Especially for our lives and the things that are happening. But the change can feel so chaotic, and it can feel victimizing. You know, like it's all happening to me right now.
Yeah.
But again, all the major changes that I've had, like getting married the first time and then having a child, changed me drastically. Getting a divorce from that first marriage drastically changed me. Having a career change in my 40s drastically changed me.
Yeah.
You know, meeting you is probably the biggest change of all, because it brought to the surface that, oh, I haven't been on the path I'm supposed to be. That's where you were talking about earlier, where the universe finally said, okay, this guy's time. 40 now. Yeah. He's not getting it. Hello. Bueller, anybody? And so they have to step in. And with that felt like a moment of radical change, extreme chaos. And but I can go back and review moments during these times where I sat crying or praying or talking out loud, even mad at God or the universe. Like, this has to change, and it has to change now.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Do it now, yeah.
Or something has to click. It's got to get better. Yeah. And I just kind of held to that. Like, okay, I've asked for it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And did kind of one of those, I'm going to plant the seed and let it walk away and let it grow for a little bit, and I'll come back and reevaluate.
Yeah.
I could see growth.
Yeah.
So I didn't, you know, stomp on the weeds or the grass or whatever I was watching grow.
Yeah.
I let it continue.
Yes.
And tried to keep looking at it instead of going, oh, it only gotten an inch taller. No. Wow, that's gotten an inch taller.
Exactly.
You know?
Perception.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's one way that we can easily change some of these, you know, these challenges and realize that they are positive, is with the changing of our perception. I wanted to read a couple of things from our listeners. I asked our listeners, what are some of the challenges you have faced in life, and how did they change you? Jennifer said, I am a wildland firefighter with the U.S. Forest Service. I have been since 2008. I was 30 then, and I'm going on 45 now. My body is changing, and I also never felt that I was particularly gifted with operational skills, strategies, and tactics. I have them, but I don't excel like some. I'm at a point in my career where change is on the horizon. I'm not scared, but I'm sad. Sad that a change in the job there will be a change in everything I've come to know and love and work about work and work relationships. And I totally understand this because we both went through a career change. I left pet sitting. I had to because of COVID, but it was also one of those things that the universe kind of forced me into because I wasn't taking the steps to do it myself. But like Jennifer, a couple of the reasons I wanted out was because I was in the sun all the time and my skin was not reacting well to it. And I was like, it's just getting hotter and hotter, you know? And as you get older, these physical changes, they make it harder for you to do those types of physical jobs. But I'll tell you, Jennifer, that it was difficult for me at first. I really did miss the job at first. But now I look back and I go, oh, it's so nice to not have to get up at 6 a.m. and get right in my car and go and walk dogs and then go back out at noon when it's 100 degrees outside. You know, you don't realize these things until it starts to happen and the change happens. So yeah, the sadness, I understand. I do for sure. I think, you know, there'll be some brightness in your future that'll make you see that it was all worth it. Yeah. For sure.
Have faith.
Yep.
Keep on keeping on.
And then Kathy said, I have found my issue is learned and cynical family behavior, which is hard to unravel and to change when it's been years of conditioning and, again, learned behavior from a young age. This made me hard, I'd say, and put up a wall of protection, but that's not good either. So I'm learning now that what I've learned was perhaps not the best way, though people were doing their best at the time. And now I have to learn to try to not continue that cycle. Hard, but realizing there are better ways versus living in autopilot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're no longer in autopilot.
Right.
Because you've learned that it is learned. So this is like almost toasting toast. You can never unlearn that you've learned that it's learned. You can never unlearn it.
Yeah.
And I relate to this one a lot.
Too,
I grew up a lot with learned behaviors that I've watched either myself repeat at times or I've watched other family members currently repeating or repeat them at times as well.
Yep.
And I knew for myself, and Samantha too, that there were certain aspects of our growing up and our upbringing that we were going to change that about ourselves, or when it came to raising our own kid, we weren't going to do certain things.
That's right.
And I've stuck to that. So,
yeah.
But just know that you're halfway there. Once you know that you've learned this,
yes,
you've learned something.
Yes.
And you can't ever unsee that. So it's up to you to keep yourself in check, so to speak.
Yes.
When it comes to those moments of change or reaction, what am I going to do?
Yep. Here's one this is from Susie, and this is a life-changing moment. She says, having a special needs child taught me a lot about compassion. I've always wondered that, you know, like when you have a child and they're born with some, you know, like her son has autism, but, you know, Down syndrome or whatever, that changes your life because you thought you were going to have a child that was going to need you for 18 years, but this child could potentially need you for the rest of its life. Yeah. And there's so much that comes with that, the care and everything. And I've seen so many people that have gone through that and it's completely changed their lives. And at first they're scared, they're terrified, you know, but they end up adjusting to it and understanding this is what God gave me and why I don't know. You know, we're all learning different lessons, but Susie, there's a reason why she was given this autistic son and why he's living that life as well. It's but it's hard, I can imagine, to have a situation like that.
Yeah, a really good friend, Tim, has an autistic son, and I had the chance to go visit him a few years ago for a couple days. And I get it with a mother, you know, mothers typically, usually I would say more so, are more nurturing and compassionate. And especially with a special needs child, I would think. Yeah. I could be wrong, but, you know, men just have a way of kind of being impatient and maybe not always so gentle and compassionate.
Yeah, they're not so much the nurturers.
But I got to see Tim with his son, and it was incredible how much he, like, how loving he was to this boy. He's in high school. And I remember him coming home after school one day while I was there and said, "Dad, I need to talk to you." And he said, okay. But he looked at him like, "Can we do it in private?" And he's like, "Oh, son, I've known Daddy many, many years. Anything you need to tell me, it's okay. You can say it in front of him."
Yeah.
And then he kind of calmed down and was like, okay, oh, cool. If you trust him, I trust him. He said, "Somebody said bad word to me today." And, "Oh, really? What would you mind repeating it?" He was like, "Well, I don't know if I could." And Tim's like, "You can." It was a very gentle word. I don't remember. Somebody called him like a poop head or something. Aww. But it was so sweet. Yeah. And the way we both just talked to him about it. And I don't know. I was like, man, I couldn't be more proud of somebody to have that kind of compassion, and understanding. I know it's his own son, but
it doesn't mean that
he's operating on a completely different wavelength than Tim himself is, cognitively. So, but just to see that patience and that love and compassion and understanding, it was just cool, man. So my hat's off to her,
For real, it's a huge life change and a challenge. But what choice do you have? This is your child, it's like one of those forced changes, but.
So your son should be happy, Susie, that he landed in a place where he does have that understanding and
very
compassion.
Well taken care of, yes. Yeah. Very, very well.
I think it was your son.
Yeah, it's her son. Yeah. We got a few minutes. So real quick, let's just talk about these. How do we learn and grow from our challenges instead of being trapped or swallowed by them? Well, I'll give you 3 things. Perspective, we've talked about. It really is about changing the way that you look at things, about the words that come out of your mouth, all of that. Honesty. To move forward, we need to be honest with ourselves. What do we want? What do we need? You can't expect to move forward if you're just, I don't really know. You have to be honest. What is it that you want from your life? And be open. Be open and be ready to move forward. Because once you accept that these changes need to be made and you tell the universe you're ready for changes to be made, a lot of times it gets put into fast forward. So be open to whatever changes come your way.
And don't run, because that, theoretically is just moving backwards.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to face it. We have to face these things. That's the hardest part to maybe accept, but we do. Yes. And that's where we'll change and where we will grow.
Absolutely. I totally agree. There's one quote that I found today is from Eleanor Roosevelt. "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do."
Yep.
So thank you, Eleanor Roosevelt, for that.
Yeah, thank you. Those are great words.
Yeah, and we will close the episode with that.
Oh, thank you, Eleanor.
Yay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Very good. I hope everybody got something out of it.
I do too. I did.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a good reminder for myself,
Yeah.
to walk out and, just keep this in my mind for could be an hour, it could be 24 hours, who knows?
Yeah, and since these episodes, we seem to be dealing with like the topics of the episodes, like the chaos and all that. Maybe next week's episode should be how to win the lottery.
Ooh.
Maybe we'd win the lottery.
Genius.
I don't know.
I know. If you only had that gift.
I know. That's not something people, you're a psychic. You should know the lottery numbers.
Give me the numbers.
It doesn't work that way. Trust me. I've tried. Come on, Linda.
They're my numbers and I want them now.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Either you're meant to win the lottery or you're not.
No.
That's how that goes. But anyways.
I'm perfectly content.
I am too, yeah.
But cool. I wouldn't turn it down.
No, of course not. But it's still funny.
Cool.
So, yay.
Well, we hope you guys got something out of this.
That we do.
I did.
Yeah.
But before we say goodbye, would you like to share your page?
Yes. You can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can schedule an appointment there, pay for a reading, all that good stuff. If you'd like to find us, we are on all social media platforms at Spiritual Joneses, or email is spiritualjoneses@gmail.com.
Very good.
And you?
Yes, if you like rock, pop, art, culture, things like that. For my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yay.
That's it for me.
fantastic.
Again, we hope you guys got something out of this.
We do.
And we hope you guys have a great week.
Yeah.
Until next week,
Peace and love.